Please join me in welcoming Patrick and Dorothy today.
Thank you for your very kind introduction. Patrick and I are really delighted and honored to be here to explore with you the intersection of cultural, social, and business entrepreneurs, cut from the same cloth, seeking different outcomes. But before I begin, I have some good news and bad news. The good news is it's great walking out the house with your co-panelists. It makes it certain that what you're wearing will not clash. The bad news, Patrick and I are very competitive with each other. I would do my best not to allow him to upstage me. But if all things fail, at the end of this session, when you are evaluating our presentations, please remember he is from the dark side. So what do we hope to accomplish for the next couple of hours? Let me give you a little preview, if this works. Help.
Didn't work.
No. Well, Patrick is helping me with the IT.
Patrick. This was staged.
No. While we're doing that, we will be first talking about the key characteristics of a business entrepreneur. And then I will present to you comparing business entrepreneurship with cultural and social entrepreneurship. And by way of illustration, I will talk about two mini cases. And then we will open the discussion to the entire room, hopefully to hear from many of you on your entrepreneurial successes and cautionary tales. What is our goal today? Our goal today is literally to start a buzz in this room on what it takes to become an entrepreneurial leader. And we hope the buzz will continue beyond the luncheon back to your respective museums and boardrooms. So that is our ambition for today. Entrepreneur. This is great because it comes from the French word entreprendre, and it means to undertake. One who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business enterprise. To quote Peter Drucker, the search for the entrepreneur is the driving force. It is the search, the quest, the vision that defines and energizes the entrepreneur. The quest for change is another key determinant quality of an entrepreneur. She is driven to go beyond what is here today, harbors a belief that there is a better way, a better mousetrap, and a better outcome for tomorrow. The entrepreneur is a dreamer, must be a dreamer, but she is not merely a dreamer, a daydreamer. She is responsive, initiates and takes action on a belief, on an unmet need, on an idea and a concept. In the entrepreneur's active and creative drive for change, opportunity emerges. The entrepreneur responds, interacts, undertakes, and exploitation follows. So the entrepreneurial cycle is launched and perpetuated. What is missing there is inherent in the entrepreneurial undertaking is risk and uncertainty. It is the innate or the nurtured ability to live with a calculated risk and manage uncertainty that propels the successful entrepreneur forward. I hope you are linking some of these entrepreneurial qualities with some of the undertakings that you have initiated. Please take note of those thoughts. Let us share them when we get to the discussion portion of today's session. Being an entrepreneurial leader is an emerging field. Much had been written about leadership. Much had been written about entrepreneurs. Now there is a recognition that we need entrepreneurial leaders. In the museum environments, there are many more opportunities to be an entrepreneurial leader than an entrepreneur. By definition, an entrepreneur creates something new, such as starting a new company or getting $300 million to start a new museum. Now, you know, those things come very rarely. But so in general, the museum professional works within the constraints of an organization with established fiduciary responsibilities and stewardship expectations. But this should not stop the museum professional from being an entrepreneurial thinker, doer, and leader. Such entrepreneurial leaders that work within an established organization are also known as intrapreneurs. So having set the stage for our entrepreneurial leadership conversation, let us hear from Patrick. For the next 20 minutes or so, he will talk to you about the qualities of a business entrepreneur and what makes a business entrepreneur tick. Patrick?
Thank you, Dorothy, for a free lunch. When she invited me to participate, she didn't quite tell me what I was supposed to do. And I found out I have to make a presentation. The question that she posed to me was, tell everybody all you know about business in a few minutes. Simple. So I look at it, and there it is. With Dorothy's splendid sense of formula, this is the dark side success formula. First, you start by being a computer geek when you're a teenager. Then you go to Harvard. Then you drop out of Harvard. And when you get to 30, you'll be a billionaire with a B. And I have this story working for me because Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg have done it. Now, when I look at the room, I realize that you passed probably the option of dropping out of Harvard. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to give you two things. One is a sense of the way the high-tech business world works. And second is working through some of the attributes or some of the qualities, some of the things that makes a good entrepreneur tick. We're going to spend quite a lot of time on this because first I'm an engineer, so I have to give you some diagram. But more importantly, it's really what represents the flow and the process of high-tech entrepreneurship. First, you have to start with a big idea. The big idea is the thing that's going to change the world, the thing for which you have a passion, the thing for which you're going to sacrifice a lot of things to make happen. And at first, what you do is you go pick the pocket of your friend and family to spend something and create the first business plan that describes the way you're going to try to go and present and implement the big idea. But very soon you find yourself that you lack resources. Lacking resources means lacking money. So you're going to have to go and try to figure out where you can fetch the money and start into the process of getting money to create a company. It's in the, for profit business and in high tech, it's a very, very well-grooved system by now. There's a class of capitalists, the angels and the venture capitalists that help us do so. So you have a pretty good process. But the process works in the following way. First, you have to create a business plan. You have to put some meat behind the bone of your big idea to show what you're going to do, the risk you're going to take, the resources you're going to allocate. And then you submit that famous business plan to varieties of VC. And you go on an endless treadmill of presentation, due diligence, and hopefully negotiation to get some funding. Now, to give you a sense of the reality, for 1,000+ companies submitting business plan, only 10 of them will get funded. Now, that's a very, very tough filtering process indeed. and requires a lot of energy, a lot of attention, and also a lot of chutzpah. Once you've done that, the key thing is you have entered the process of raising money, and that's a quite very good process, and I'd like you to reflect on it, because the process is a process of systematically addressing the risk and finding a way of systematically mitigating the risk. So the first thing you do after you submit your plan is you get the A money. And the A money is a sum of money that helps you work the question, will the product, will the service you want to offer work? So essentially you look at the technology, you look at the things that you're required to do to prove that your idea can be transformed into a product or into a service. You spend 1 or 2 years doing that, a lot of long nights, a lot of weekends, a lot of things of that nature, and then you suddenly come to the point when you're ready to put your product into the market. Now, you're not going to put your product into the market so easily, because first, the market may not be ready for you, second, you need resources to put the product to the market, which leads you to go to what's called the B round. And the B round is trying to answer the next question, which is, will the dog eat the dog food? And in order to go and attack that question, you need to be able to put your resources in front of what's called beta customer, which are people that are going to, one, kick the tire, but also, more importantly, help you shape and create and define the true value proposal that you're trying to present. And same process, same big treadmill, business plan, due diligence, presentation, negotiation. Now you go at it, you have identified those customers, you shake and bake, some aspect of your product, you understand now you can sell it better, and you suddenly get to the magic point where now you have to become real. And become real means raising money, because you're going to have to scale up your operation. You have to grow your company as fast as you are capable of growing it and as fast as the market accept you and let you grow it. So you go through again, presentation, due diligence, negotiation, business plan review, the same treadmill that you have to work for. And the key challenge on C is to make sure that you attack the real fundamental problem of building an organization, building sales force, building factories if you need to do so, a tremendous amount of proof that not only your product is good, not only the product attracts key customer, but now you're going to be able to scale it. And that's the C round. Now when you finish the C round, you're now shooting for something else. You're shooting for proving to the world that you can grow, that you can make money, and you are ready for the big liquidity event. Now the big liquidity event is mostly going public, IPO type structure, but more often today, given the economy, is selling your company to a larger entity which will have the resources and the capacity to exploit what you created. But to do so, you go back to the same treadmill of business plan review, due diligence, presentation, endless presentation, and then negotiation at the end. The point I'm trying to make to you is that while a lot of you complain that you're spending a lot of your time trying to find money, I can tell you that in the for-profit world, we spend all our time trying to find money. And it's a very, very demanding process, and it's a very frustrating process at times, because you're going to make 100 presentations when you finally get to be able to negotiate to get the next one. And that's the life we live in, and it's fine, we like it, but that's the situation that we have to work with. So essentially, if you look at the process, what we have is we have something that's pretty well structured in terms of removing systematically the risk. The A round, remove the risk of technology. Can you make it work? The B round, remove the risk of marketing acceptance by finding customer, working with customer to make the product more palatable to a large audience. And the C round, demonstrate that you can build a company, scale it, and do all the aspects that the company requires. It's a tough job, and it's something that we all get trained to do, which raises the real question is who are those crazies that can run all the challenges of the steeplechase of making money, building company, creating stuff, and so on and so forth. Well, behind the most obvious things, which is passion, because if you're not passionate for the idea you're trying to sell, if you're not willing to do all kind of stuff to do it, you're never going to succeed. So the passion is probably the critical thing, followed very quickly by skills and knowledge, relevant skills and knowledge. But deeper, it's a question of character. Do you know yourself? You need a very strong ego, because you're going to have plenty of naysayers, you're going to have plenty of rejections, and you have to be able to carry forward and keep pushing. You need to have a lot of drive to achieve, and the energy compatible to the terrible, demanding type of work environment, because it's truly a 24/7, and we're trying the technology to go to 25 or 26. So it's something that has high demand on you and high demand in many things you're trying to do. And as importantly, but very importantly, is you have to be persistent. You have to go the extra mile and the mile beyond that one. And you have to be willing to deal with all the small success and the small failure and keep carrying forward, because a lot of things you're trying don't exist. A lot of things you're trying are at the bleeding edge, as we call it. And you don't quite know where you're going, but you have to have the self-confidence and the stamina to be able to push it. You take a lot of risk. Not risk for the thrill of taking risk, but real risk because you're going into the unknown, you have a lot kind of ambiguity on how things are going to be, so you make systematic calculated risk, and if you're any good at it, you try to make them in bite where you can lose without losing the whole thing. So you spend your time working at the risk-reward aspect and trying to make those experiments that are critical to make you move forward. Obviously, you venture most of the time into the unknown, and the unknown is sometimes really unknown, meaning you have an idea that nobody has ever had any sense of. If you cannot ask customer if they like your idea because they have no sense of it, so you have to make that little dance of presenting to them, getting feedback, presenting again, and getting emotion where you're going to start chipping away at the unknown and moving forward. And you have to be totally dedicated to seeking change. If you are happy in a very steady type of environment, don't join the club because you will survive for 2 days. One of the critical aspects is also you need to have not so much the vision that, you know, I've seen the light and that kind of thing. Now, you need to have a sense of purpose, a continuous view of progress so that you can help create customer. You can go and help them understand the beauty of what you're trying to do and make them commit to you so that you can move forward. And there's a lot of evangelists, as we used to use the word in our business, which is you really have to be the snake oil salesman at some time and, you know, push something you don't really have but you believe you can do, get people to commit to them and then deliver. And that's the little thing that you need to have, and the sense of purpose is critical because not only it's going to enable you to succeed, but it's also going to enable you to motivate the people that work for you to succeed with you.